A lot of names here competing for jobs. And you have said throughout the offseason, and you said it again today as we sort of drop the starting flag on all of this, that there are jobs, obviously shortstop, right field, but in the starting rotation, you've got guys who are relievers. We'll talk to Daniel Barden a little bit, who's trying to become a starter. Guys who've come in trying to grab a job later in their career. There are quite a few guys here competing. Yeah. Is that a good thing for a manager to have that in camp?
It is what it is, so it's going to be a good thing, and it's we'll make a very good team out of the people who are here in camp. When you mentioned Daniel Bard, you know, bringing another guy in, Kelly Shopik, for instance, who says when Bard threw his changeup a few times last year, guys were just marveling about it in the dugout. They couldn't believe how devastating it was, and this is one of the pitches that's going to be so important for him making this transition. So, you know, that's one of the byproducts you get of getting someone from another team. Not only his bat and his glove and his throwing, it's a perspective of what the other team sees of our players. And as far as Daniel's concerned, he's held in very high esteem.
And we'll have him here in a little bit. I know you've been talking throughout a lot of last year, Peter. You talked about the ability he could use more of his arsenal as a starting pitcher.
Actually, it was funny in spring training last year. I said to Theo and Ben, you know, I can envision Daniel Bard being a starter and Andrew Miller pitching at the end of games, and they went, "You're complicating everything for all of us. Go away."
Never know. You never know what evil lurks.
You were asked today about the shortstop specifically when we talk about the competition for jobs. Talk about that position a little bit. We know about Iglesias, a young guy on the horizon, maybe sooner rather than later. You've got Punto and Aviles, a couple of guys, veterans, but maybe not the everyday resume that Marco Scutaro had. When it's as important a position, they're all important, I understand, but as shortstop and you're coming in with a little uncertainty, what does that mean to you and to the team?
Well, it means we're going to have to take a real deep look and practice real hard and make an educated decision by in the spring. Mike Aviles really seems to have the DNA to do it. He doesn't have the resume to do it, and we're going to find out if, in fact, his skill set translates into a guy who can play there all the time. I don't think Nick Punto is really an option as an everyday shortstop. He's here to be a guy who can play other positions when we need him. Good defensive player, a little bat from the right and the left, but you know, it's going to be Iglesias basically coming on and pushing Mike Aviles, and we'll see how hard Mike gets pushed and if he can handle the load.
Have you laid out a schedule with Carl Crawford, or you just want to wait, let him get in here and see where he is?
So the last thing in the world I ever would do with Carl or any other injured player is make a calendar or a schedule have anything to do with his process, his progress. We're going to let Mother Nature heal him. We're going to listen to Carl and listen to the doctors as to when he can start full activities, and whenever that is, we'll then lay out a schedule for at-bats and repetitions that he needs before he can be major league ready.
And obviously, whatever time you don't have Carl Crawford, you've got some new outfielders who are going to be in the mix. Talk a little about Cody Ross and Ryan Sweeney and what you expect from them.
Well, I expect them to be good players and contributors on this team. One from the right side and one from the left. You have D-Mac, Darnell McDonald, who's going to come in thinking that he should get a lot more playing time, and very possibly should, and if he earns that right, he'll get it. And we have a mix of other guys that I think will surprise people when they see him play, at least from what I've seen on film, read in reports, and had a little glimpse of the last few days. So, but you know, Cody Ross was a very good player in the postseason. He's been around a while. He has a bit of a pedigree, a bit of a resume. And Ryan Sweeney, if he stays healthy, he might be a guy that people are really glad to see.
Have you talked to Kevin Youkilis about what kind of schedule he'll have as he comes back from his two operations?
Well, once again, I've talked to the medical staff and talked to Kevin briefly, just letting him be evaluated, letting him feel, you know, what it's like here in the spring with his shoulder and his abdominals, and he'll be on his own pace until he says, I'm ready to go 100%.
Well, I want to let you go here. It's long weeks ahead of you, but yes. I'll ask you finally here, the baseball fans who've watched you on television here over the last few years, how different is Bobby V, the baseball manager, as opposed to Bobby V, the television commentator. Are you?
Got to think I'm the same guy. I'm just going to have a different costume on.